What's going on, guys? Zach with iTrendz here. We're going to go over the watch list, the FOMC, the post-FOMC, pre-GDP, pre-PCE watch list. Dang, was today a good day. Qs ended up 4.23% on the day because we got exactly what was expected from the Fed, which was very nice to see. 75 basis point move. He didn't say anything too crazy. And when I'm saying he, if you're not familiar, JPow, Jerome Powell, he is the active Fed chairman. So he's the one who decides the monetary policy. Of course, there's a bunch of people that vote on what goes on and what occurs and what changes in the monetary policy, but he is the person that tells us what's going on and what's changing or not changing in the monetary policy. So anyway, it was really good because we got exactly what we were expecting. If you watched the past two watch list videos, I definitely expressed a little concern about being too bearish necessarily on the FOMC day because it seemed like we had priced in a significant amount. I did say if we had got smacked with a 100 basis point move, excuse me, we would have gotten smacked. We definitely would have had a bad day. That wasn't the case. And we had a very, very nice day. You can see NASDAQ in my lower corner right here, a big push up after digesting the news just a little bit for about 20 minutes, big push up, end of the day, 4.23% on the Qs. So we're going to go over a few trades here. I do want to talk a little bit about what he said, though, because there are some important things, and hopefully you guys can take this with you, write it down, or record it or whatever. However you need to take it down, it's very important because he actually said some very interesting things, some stuff that give us a lot of clues. So basically, he said four really interesting things to me. He said pace of rate hikes will depend on data, so that's CPI, PPI, PCE. Will not hesitate on a larger increase if needed. So we're at 75, so not going to hesitate on a larger increase. So that'd be like 100 basis point if it's needed. So that's, he's basically saying if the data is showing that we need it, CPI, PPI, PCE, it's not inflecting down. Inflation is not inflecting down. We need a higher one, a higher basis move. He's not going to hesitate to do so. Another unusually large increase could be appropriate at the next meeting. The next meeting is in September. Right now, we're pricing in a 50-point basis move for that. I don't know the exact percentage. I should figure that out. However, he said there, if we see and find that it's applicable, we will do a larger than an unusually large rate hike. And then the last thing that he said that was really important is time to go meeting by meeting. So he's not going to provide any type of clear guidance for us, which is what they've been trying to strive to do, right? They've been putting that picture in our head that they're going to give us a clear image. So this gives us two things at the surface level to understand. If they don't give us the guidance for the next meetings, he told us that, so it's really not that bad. But if they do give us the guidance, then that's even better because they said that they're not going to do it. And so if they do it, that's actually a very good thing. It's a very good thing for the market to know and be a little bit more certain about what's going on. If you're uncertain, right, that causes fear. Fear causes selling, etc. Right? That's obvious. So also what it tells us, or at least what it shows us, is that an opportunity for us to have a surprise, whether that's a bullish surprise or a bearish surprise, in the next following meetings up to the end of the year, is very prevalent, because he said that he's not going to give us any type of guidance. So we could have a scenario where we start pricing in all this fear at some point in time coming up leading into the September market, but we don't have any guidance. And then we get to the FOMC meeting and really nothing bad happens, and then we get a bullish reaction off of that, or then the exact opposite, where we think everything's fine and we're flying colors and we're actually getting a big push in the market, and then they slam us with something because they didn't guide us, they didn't help us out. And so then we take a big hit because of that. So those are some opportunities or some options going into the next Fed meeting. Of course, it's in September, so that's 2 months away. We got enough time. It's very nice. We got some time in between where it's just going to be price action, not a lot of big catalysts. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. Earnings season is currently going on right now, so that's going to be over soon. So anyway, they also said that they see 3 to 3.5% by the end of the year, which essentially is 100 bips from where we're at right now, which really only means that in the next, I believe there's 2. If it's not 2, it's 3, because that would be the max that it could be. It's either 2 or 3 more meetings before the end of the year. So that means that we have 100 basis points. They said, according to what they said, we have 100 basis points that we can spread out between the next couple meetings until the end of the year. to get us to that 3 to 3.5 range for the interest rate. But anyway, we've got some really important things right off the bat. I just want to say that these trades, there's some really good trades I'm going to bring to you guys. I'm going to bring to you guys about 4 trades, 1, 2, 4 trades, and we can look at some others live here actually, just as a nice little addition. But what I will say is that tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern in the morning, we have GDP. GDP could bring us down, and therefore these trades, you're going to have to readjust your levels. So just make sure that you do that. Again, this has been Zach with iTrendz. I'm just going to throw it in there. If you guys really like the video and it helped you guys or you take some of our trades from the watch list, please leave some comments, some likes, some subscriptions. We really, really appreciate it. But anyway, let's get into it. So QQQ, this is really interesting. I want to say right off the bat is that we have perfect mitigation of liquidity right here. So we had a big wick, top wick at this 308.45, came right up to 308.45, big rejection. So that's a little interesting to see because that is usually a signal of liquidity grab, and then usually you have a pullback after that. So basically, I'm looking at a couple things here. I'm really looking for us to hold this 302 to 304 zone that we have talked about multiple times in the watch list, and we have spoken about this whether we are above it or below it. We're back now above it, and so I'm looking for us to stay above this 302 to 304 zone. As long as if we come down and we open up into it, I'm not going to be so quick to jump on shorts, to be honest. Depending on what the GDP print read is, etc., not going to be so quick to jump on shorts. I'm going to really let the price action settle out. And if we're going to actually hold this demand zone, then I'll trade and go long, trade calls off this demand zone and trade it up to, and then hopefully the break of 308, right? But if we're just going to zoom through 308, I can really see us testing 315 by the end of the week. I know that we're overbought on these lower time frames, like the hourly, almost there on the 4-hour. We can check that out here in a second. But we have to be aware of the potential upside that we could get out of this, because we really did just get pretty good news from the FOMC, right? We didn't get slammed or anything. And they did exactly what they said they were going to do, right? That's what the market has been like wanting and like cheering for is just the Fed do exactly what they want, what they say they're going to do, and they did it this time. So we have to be aware that we could very well push towards these 315 highs. Getting above that end of week, I really don't see us doing that. We could have a nice little wick above, but I think this would be your selling opportunity. A lot of market makers are going to cover any type of longs that they had there. They're going to take their share positions off. They might even open up some larger short positions and some hedge positions there. So you got to watch it if we at this 315 level, just don't get sucked into going longs there. So anything underneath 300 really. I know I said this 302 to 304, but 300, a 300 break, a break below 300, and we're trading underneath that. That's where I will be more comfortable taking shorts out on pops, and we're actually taking the rejection trades. But even you could take a trade underneath this 302 to the 300. It'd be a little risky, but you could absolutely take that, especially if the VIX is showing us like we're going to have more selling off to do. Absolutely, you could totally take that. However, I'm just saying exercise caution on both sides, because we're a little overextended. We're not slightly overextended on the upside, just barely. And we're not in a zone yet where we have confidence where we can short pops, because shorting pops really hasn't been doing you much here. These 2.5 days did really well for you, but other than that, I mean, you should be buying at demand, right? That's extremely prevalent. So let's take a look at this 4-hour right here. A little overbought, almost overbought, right? You can't really see the level here because it's measuring the volume and the RSI at the same time, so it's in millions. But this, if I have to guess, is at the 65 plus range. 70 would be overbought. So we're close to that on the 4-hour. I'm really not scared. Like, I'm not worried about getting overbought on the 4-hour. We can always go higher, right? That's a really bad thing and cycle to get into. It's like, oh, we're overbought on this time frame, on the larger time frames. We have to pull back. It's like, no, you can always go higher and you can always go lower. And so that's a real thing here. So we could always go higher to test this 315, or we could reject and then come back down towards this 292. So anyway, let's get into some trades here. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I know that I like to talk you guys' ears off. So one trade that I'm really looking at that I like a lot, Upstart. So it's been getting knocked down. Knocked down. So with everything aside, GDP, etc., I'm really liking this trade. If we can hold this 2430 to 2480 zone, I'll be really super happy. Or if you want a little bit more, wait for a little bit more conservative entry, just take it above this 25.21. Your first take profit is going to be pretty quick, excuse me, at 25.50, but your next take profit is at 26.40. If we had a crazy day on the stock, you could see it to this 27 to 28 range, but that'd be absolutely nuts. Realistically speaking, I'd probably take most of my profits here at 26.40. Let's take a look at the contracts. I don't have any contracts picked out for these trades yet. Oh, I really like these 26s. Lots of volume here, really cheap. See, if you wanted to see that 28 level, you load a couple of these. When you load, say, the 25s, load the 26s and the 25s at the same time and take the 26s longer because you have a little bit less risk there, right? But this volume is really good. 2,500 and 1,700, that's amazing. You got good OI, right? You got a good OI all the way down over here. You got some people that bought the 24 strikes as well. They might be trying to optimize on some overnight price action. This implied volatility seems a little high, but it was at the top. So I like these 25 or 26s. That's beside the point. Those that implied volatility. Let's go to shop. Let's go to shop next. So Shopify had a really good day today, right? 11% on the day. So I am expecting a little bit of a pullback. Now a pullback back down to 33 wouldn't make me want to buy it. So it'd be pretty invalidated. So I'm keeping my zone that I'm looking for very tight here. 34.50 to 35 flat inside of the zone. Again, if you wanted a more conservative entry, take above this 35.50, and then you take your first take profits, excuse me, at this 36.88. Let's mark this up, 36.88 to 36.7 zone here. That's where your first take profits would be. Your next take profits would be this 37.85. Let's take a look for the upside, or for the contracts here. Whoa, lots of volume. 35s look really nice. That's cheap. 36s if your account isn't big enough to afford these 35s. 37s would be like the lotto if you wanted to see extreme upside continuation, but I don't know if I would do that after 11% day on a stock. I think that's a little bit out there. I think you're asking for too much there. 35 calls or 36 puts look really nice. Now, if we're, excuse me, I did not mean to do that. If we're basing underneath this 34.50 to 35 zone and we just can't break back above it, or we're rejecting our highs, I will take shorts out again because it's overextended. 11% on the day is very hard for it to maintain that trend and continue, and then do another 5 or 6% on the day. So I'd be looking at these 34 puts, probably stay right at the money. These have lots of volume, but they're super cheap. I like these 34 puts, maybe even buy in the money at 35. 34 or 35 on both sides, excuse me, 35, 36 on the call side, 35 and 34 on the put side. Again, that's if you're holding this zone, 34.50 and 35, that 50-cent zone right there. If you're holding it, calls long side above 35.50, you're good up to 36.80. Now, if you're not holding this zone, back down to 33 you go. Would take profits along the way on these wicks right here, 33.87, 33.45, and then 32.80. There's a lot of threes in there. All right, Microsoft is next. So Microsoft is interesting, right? We just had earnings yesterday, actually last night. They missed EPS. They did really poorly on revenue, but I understand that they're up 7% on the day, but I really can see Microsoft touching these 273s. And given that it has given that it's Microsoft, this big tech name, you're going to have people that are flooding in here. And I really do see us pushing back towards these levels here. You got a lot of liquidity sitting in the zone here, and I'm sure that people want to push the stock up to then get themselves out of their positions in this exact zone right here. This 275 zone was crucial when we were back in it over here in early June. So basically, I'd take a more conservative approach here. I'd really like it to be above this 269 before I'm taking calls, or if it's basing at this 265, right? 265, right? Psychological level, 265 here. I'd really like it to base at this 265 to 265.64 zone, take long calls, and then it breaks this 269. I think you're pretty good to this 273. Your first take profit would be this 270.5, this wick right here. Your next take profit would be inside of this zone. Let me extend this a little bit. In this zone, you want to make sure you capture like the closing body of this, or the opening body of this candle right here. So your next take profit 271.75 and then 273.12. If you got a crazy monster day on Microsoft, you might actually see it tap 275. I would not want to be holding calls above 275, that's for sure. I do really like the fact that this has a lot of volume on 270. That's crazy. This is a big spread. I think that's a mistake, though. I think this is just closing, and yeah, I think this is just a mistake. So I'd be looking at these 270s, 275s. I like. Honestly, if you wanted to be a little bit closer to the money, you could definitely take these 272.5s here. You might not get as much volume, but there's definitely ample volume in it. Now, if you're going to break that 265 that we talked about, I like these 260s. At that point, these would probably be more closer towards $1 or $1.25. So I like these 260 contracts for the downside if you're not holding that 265. If you are, the 270s or the 272.5s. All right, let's continue on here. I have Tesla next. Let's see. So Tesla's in an interesting position because it's actually not super overbought yet. And if anybody has ever traded Tesla, you know that when it goes oversold, it just keeps going. And when it goes overbought, it just keeps going. And this is a good example of it. Not so good of an example, not so good of an example, right? But you have some oversold examples right here. It just keeps going. So I'm really not worried about getting overextended on Tesla here. But I don't really trade Tesla too often. So I want to keep it nice and tight. And really just keep my ranges tight and really just take my profits as I go up. So I'd be looking for us to base above, or not base, excuse me, but to trade above this 827.48, 827.50, and I take it right to 840, and that would be my trade right there, and I'd be done. However, if it's not going to be above there, I'm not going to look for calls. I'm not even going to bother trading it. I'm not going to bother trading it on the upside. I mean, on the downside, excuse me. Just because there are potentially some other shorts. So let's find, those are the 4 trades that I had to bring you guys today. Let's find another one that we can go over. ARK is a stock that I trade a lot. ARK above 46.70 looks really good. You have this imbalance right here, this impulsive move that creates an imbalance up to 48. I like that a lot. The downside, not so interested in the downside. Remember, GDP is going, you're going to have to adjust these levels in the morning. GDP might bring us back down to 44, brings us back down to 44, depending on what our read is. Might be looking to buy calls in demand, right? Might be up by the rumor or sell the rumor, buy the news event. That's really interesting right there. I like that above this 46 zone right here, this 46.75, all the way towards this 48. Let's look at some contracts. 46s are nice, 47s. ARK's contracts are always really cheap. 46s and 47s look really good. If you're looking to the downside on this, I'd go with the 44s or the 45s. I would always stay really close, really tight to the vest. Honestly, I would go 45s or 46s. Right at the money or slightly in the money would be great. So again, those 46s or 47s on the call side above 46.75. That was really quick. Let's look at another one here. Amazon had a pretty good day. Amazon overall, one thing I want to say about Amazon is that this 116 level is big for Amazon, right? So we really want to see Amazon forming bases, using this as support, as demand. Not saying that it's going to come back down to it, but if it can't break 116 on the downside, I'm not so certain that I'd be fading and shorting Amazon. I know that they have earnings at the end of the day tomorrow, so it might be a really nice opportunity to take advantage of some IV push, right, if in your contracts. As far as an actual trade, you could take a simple above here, but I would have to wait until after GDP to really assess that one. That one's not as clear to me. Let's go to CRM, another stock that I trade periodically. This is a stock that I talked about, I believe, in the last watch list. And this was the trade right here. It was right under this is 180.86, and it came all the way down to our zone at 174. I hope somebody took that. I hope somebody made money off that. That was a great trade. Coin actually had an 11% day. This is nuts. Now, this is a nice little formation right here, right? You got a little bit of a W yet to complete its first extension. You have a little flag forming right here. Okay, I'm going to watch this above 59, and I'll take it above 60. Because 60 is going to be a pretty big level here. I like coin above 60, And honestly, you could trade this to the downside, but I don't, your risk reward is a little weak there. I do like this above 60, right back up to the zone that I've got labeled here. First take profit would be at this 62.75, and then your 63.40 to 64.17 zone would be your next take profit. Your absolute top would be this, the top of this gap right here, 65.73. 60 calls look nice. A lot of open interest. We've got some volume, excuse me, a lot of volume on call side, some volume on the put side as well. 65 calls, a little bit cheaper here. Honestly, I like these 60s. I like these 62s, and I like the 65s. If you wanted to load a 65, it's kind of like take a lotto-ish approach to it. I like that as well. Let's do one more, and then I will end this video so that it's nice and short for you guys, which I know that's not short. Take a look at Meta. No? Okay. Okay, one more. Let's see. NVIDIA. Let's talk about NVIDIA really quickly because they got the chip deal going on. I'm not so sure I like NVIDIA until we get back to this 74.80 zone. If we can get NVIDIA at 74.80, let me extend this, 74.80 to 72.60 zone, I will buy the demand bounce here and I will trade it back up to the highs from today. And I would love that trade. And then absolute top being this 181.67 here. I already have it as an alert. Call side, 180s look great. I wouldn't go any further than the 185s. If you wanted to trade it back down to that 184 zone, you could absolutely do so. I would go no further than 170s. In fact, I would rather be at the 172.5, so the 175s. So again, that's the 180s or the 185s or the 172.5s or the 175s for the shorts. I'm looking to buy this at demand at 175 zone to 172.50. But anyway, hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this. Sorry, I tried to front load it and make it quick for you guys. I know it's probably still going to be about 20 minutes. Sorry. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned a lot. Make sure you're safe out there in the rest of the week, because we still have to have time to digest all the stuff that we just got from FOMC. We're going to get GDP. We're going to get PCE. There's a lot of news that's still coming out. We're only halfway through the week. So make sure that you guys are just being patient. I'm not rushing anything. Don't FOMO into or don't FOSO out of any trades, right? And it's been Zach with iTrendz. So if you liked the video, please give us a like, a comment down below with any type of feedback, what we did good, what we didn't do good, what you'd like to see more of, etc. If you like these watch list videos, if they're helpful for you, hopefully they are helpful for you. And of course, a subscription is always appreciated. Anyway, with that being said, have a good rest of your guys' night, and hopefully you guys make some good tendies this week.